All right, Tate, we are here. It is Friday. It is March 2nd. This is March. John Rothstein tweeted it out. That's how you know it's official. I am in Los Angeles.
Welcome.
I missed you. I missed staring into your eyes as we do these podcasts. It's exciting to be here. It is like 50 degrees and raining. I was lied to. But I'm here. We're here for the rest of the month, just churning out content.
And it's been a fun run. You came out in the fall to relaunch the podcast, One Shining Podcast.
Rest in peace, Teed Up.
RIP Teed Up. It's been a new world. We have become, more on the scene than we were last year. So we're really proud of that. We're excited about the podcast.
We still need our one big
scoop. We talked
about. Well, we need our big scoop for sure. I was gonna say feud. I was gonna go a different direction and say we still need to we still need beef with somebody. You were trying with Seth Greenberg, and then Seth reached out and he gets on Twitter is like, yeah, this was funny, yeah.
I had Gerald Henderson. Gerald Henderson and I got I tried to start Twitter beef with him by saying that he admitted he did the Tyler Hansbrough elbow on purpose. He obviously did not say that. I just wanted to stir controversy. It didn't work. So we're trying. We're gonna figure it out.
Maybe that's our goal. Someone. That's our goal for March Madness, is to start a beef with someone. Here's a guy we could start. Mark Schlabotched.
Schlabotched.
Schlabotched. If you missed it, Tate and I did an emergency press conference emergency podcast to the emergency press conference that Sean Miller called.
One Shining Presser.
Yeah. So check that out. As Tate said, not to pat ourselves on the back. We thought we had some fun with that one. That one was pretty good. We went through basically the entire press conference, which was only 4 minutes long, of Sean Miller coming out, throwing up middle fingers, saying do something about this. So I'm not really sure. Is there an update? Do we need to do an addendum to I feel like the story of something's changing I saw the kid, the last recruit that they had committed has now decommitted. So Arizona has no recruits for next year.
Brandon Williams.
Which that position, being a Carolina guy, you know what it's like to have the recruiting just decimated by scandal, decimated by a scandal that has been just completely made up and is no way true whatsoever.
It wasn't at all, and that's why I never bring it up, because I don't even want to give it any sort of credence by talking about it.
Do you remember that, by the way, the scandal where North Carolina for 30 years the players were not taking real classes and they all were eligible, and then they won 3 national titles in that span? Do you remember that?
Do you remember all the people that said that North Carolina was going to get the death penalty after they read the report, and then it came back that they didn't get anything? Wow, that's really tough. So that's why we commiserate with Arizona fans, and that's why they love us so much, because we refuse to take reports and then run straight to the death penalty. So
what the update is?
They're the Pac-12 champions, and Sean Miller's back.
They are the Pac-12 champions. Sean Miller's back. But yeah, the theories on this is my favorite scandal. And I swear, those of you listening might be rolling your eyes. You're like, Sean Miller again? Are they doing it again? Are they really going to spend another half an hour? The answer is no. But I do want to touch on this real quick. The theories that keep coming out with this are my sustenance at this point. I wake up and I'm like, I cannot get out of bed until I get some more Sean Miller. Just plug it right into my veins. I need more theories.
It's Miller time.
The people saying, funny you bring up the Miller time.
Yes.
My favorite theory now is that the FBI did tap Dawkins' phone. They heard him talking to Miller. It was Andy Miller all along. They got confused, thought it was Sean Miller. And people believe
Mr. Miller, I promise I have $100,000.
And then the guy, the FBI guy is listening to this, and he just goes to Google and is like, Miller,
college basketball coach Miller.
There it is.
It's like Archie and Sean. He's like, blue blood. Yes.
I love that theory. Speaking of Archie, what about this theory? I came up with this one.
Yeah, this was recent. This is today.
This is a good one. This is a good theory I'm going to put out there. Archie Miller was coaching at Dayton, right? Before he went to Indiana.
Yes.
What if the FBI wiretap, they heard Archie Miller on the wiretap talking about a guy at Dayton? They got the Millers mixed up. They heard Miller, Dayton, Miller, DeAndre Ayton, Miller, DeAndre Ayton, Miller, DeAndre. You see what I'm doing? And then it just becomes Sean Miller, DeAndre Ayton. You see how I did that? Throw that one out there.
Sounds like you Schlabotched it.
That's going to end up on the, wild. I don't know what Arizona's forums are, but that one's going to end up on there. Be like, I was listening to One Shining Podcast. Titus had an interesting.
What if it was Dayton? What if it was Archie? What if it wasn't us at all?
He did get Giannis there. How did that happen? Or Giannis's brother,
Kostas. Which I was very upset about. The reason that this all came up was we were talking about big picture stuff in college basketball. Obviously, the regular season's about to end. And we did this preview podcast, and there were so many characters and storylines and coaches and teams that I assumed would consume me this entire season, and it turns out I can't predict anything because none of those things played out. Right. One of those things was Dayton basketball, post-Archie. We got Anthony Grant there, a man that will coach in college basketball for eternity, it seems like. And he has Kostas Antetokounmpo, the youngest brother of the Greek Freak, and he's finally going to play. Everyone's excited. I'm excited. I'm going to watch Dayton all year. And I haven't watched one Dayton basketball game. And they're irrelevant in the A-10. And Costas plays like 12 minutes a game.
Unbelievable.
So I'm sorry, Dayton.
So, sorry, Dayton fans. Yeah, Dayton. They got a good fan base. Over
They got a
Dayton.
great fan base.
Listen, I live in Ohio. I got to calm down, like with the Dayton talk. I can't. Yeah.
Are you upset that I'm
No,
calling?
no.
I wanted them to be.
No, yeah, they're not doing well, but I gotta choose my words carefully. I like where I live, and I don't.
Well, I don't want anything to happen to you
feathers.
in Dayton, Ohio. I like the Flyers. I believe in the Wright
Yeah,
brothers.
no, Dayton's got an awesome gym, awesome program. Yeah, they'll be all right.
I'm just saying we miss Archie.
We do miss Archie. Archie just lost to Rutgers. Let's start there. Let's start with the Big Ten tournament.
With the Big Ten. The actual basketball is going on.
Corey Sanders. Now, this was a make shots, miss shots game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna chalk this one up for IU. IU's season probably over. I think they're technically eligible for the NIT. That's not happening. I think people don't realize this. By the way, for the NIT, if I remember right, the NIT is like in the recent years, in like the last 5 years or whatever, they've sort of changed their selection process to where they now include like more mid majors, to where even like really good high major teams that miss the tournament don't go to the NIT because there's just not enough spots in the NIT.
Well, they go to the CIA or whatever, or the CIAA.
No, like it used to be like you take like the 16 best teams that don't make the tournament
Of course.
and you put them in NIT, but now they're letting like a lot of mid majors in. So it's really like the 5 best teams that miss the tournament get into the NIT, and then it's like a bunch of.
Well, do you follow the NIT Twitter account? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
No, what are you going with the experimental rules?
So they do this thing where it's like they bring the mid-major program, like Middle Tennessee State goes and plays in their tournament, or like a young Auburn team goes and plays in the NIT, and then 2 years later, when they're in the NCAA tournament and they're making a run, it's like, remember when they were in the NIT, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I do remember when Buddy Hield was in the NIT. It's like they thrive off those moments, which I think that's why they're trying to pull the mid-majors so they can have their own version of a Cinderella story.
It all started,
which I think is smart.
Yeah, it all started here. This is where the legends are born in college
legends
basketball.
are born at the NIT.
Well, anyway, the NIT, I was bringing it up because Indiana's probably not even going there. But Corey Sanders, this guy on Rutgers, he was giving Indiana the Tony Carr
treatment,
Ohio State treatment. And for those listening, Tate and I are recording this. What is it, like noonish?
Yeah,
in LA right now. So the Ohio State Penn State game is still about 3 hours away from tipping off. So if you're listening to this, wondering why I'm not talking about how Tony Carr just ripped Ohio State's asshole open for the 3rd straight time, it's because it hasn't happened yet. But it is going to happen.
Yes.
I understand that. I'm fully aware that that's
faith that it is
on
the way.
About to happen. But yeah, Corey Sanders. This was they hit shot. Like if I'm Archie Miller, they hit shots. We didn't. But Rutgers. The reason we bring it all up, coming full circle.
This is a great.
This is the story of the Big Ten tournament. We had for a second there it was Wisconsin and Rutgers. We thought, can Wisconsin keep the Big Ten or the Wisconsin? Can Wisconsin keep the streak alive of NCAA tournament bids? Everyone's saying no now because Wisconsin just lost to Michigan State, lost a close one. They ended the season 15-8, quote unquote. But what if they make the tournament? Everyone's kind of,
and we should say
counting them out.
They lost by 3. Buzzcut Brad had a 3-pointer at the end to tie the game. I think he got hit on the arm.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
I'll put it out there.
Absolutely.
I've never seen Buzzcut Brad miss a shot where he got a clean look.
Right.
And he's in tears after the game. Ethan Happ just looks lost, and he's very upset. It seems like the end of this little run of Wisconsin basketball. We're obviously expecting, what is it, 19 and counting, right?
19 tournaments in a row. Everyone says this is the streak. I know. I mean, the streak is obviously over. They're 15 and 18. I'm trying to make a joke.
Ending a streak at 19 is not good because you're just one away from 20. Let's get him in the tournament.
Let's get it. If the FBI can step it up, if the fake news, if we start getting real news and start throwing cuffs on guys, maybe Wisconsin has a shot, Tate. Someone slid into our DMs, by the way, and said Ethan Happ transferring. That's the scuttlebutt they're hearing.
The happening.
Yeah. If you're into fake news and rumors and whatnot, get that one going.
And he's redshirt junior. He's graduated, so now he can be a grad transfer, which is the Cameron Johnson treatment, the Spike Albrecht treatment. There's so many of these now that we can always talk about and point to. Your boy Dockage, that's his move. I mean, that's a Big Ten staple now, is to wrap up your career at one program in the Big Ten and then go somewhere else in the Big Ten. So Purdue basketball, welcome Ethan Happ. He's on the way.
Ooh, Ethan Happ replacing Isaac Haas. Wouldn't that be a
Come on.
That'd be so scandalous.
Because Haas
Oh
versus
my God.
Happ has been such a fun matchup because they're so different. It's just this huge, big dude and then this like 6'9" guy trying to get around him.
Doing spin moves. Baseline spin moves.
Yeah, who somehow like gets lower and lower to the ground as he gets to Isaac Haas. And Isaac Haas just keeps his hands up and is like, please try to go up. I would like that change. Let's make that switch.
The Ethan Happ Mike and drill, like that's his entire game is his baseline spin moves, doing Mike and drill layups. Yeah, so Wisconsin was sort of the story for the Big Ten tournament. I mean, the real story of the Big Ten tournament is that no one gives a shit. I don't know if that's still true. Like, yeah, people are because the
hometown team is here.
One, Rutgers is here.
Yes,
and they're making it happen.
Yes.
And they're playing Purdue tonight in the nightcap, and I think they have a shot. I think they actually have a shot. But also, all the games in the Big Ten tournament have been incredible so far. Like pretty much every game is coming down to the wire. It's a single possession, or if not that, single digits certainly. So the Big Ten tournament is sort of this is the worst case scenario, if I'm being honest. Is like it's actually a good thing. I wanted the Big Ten tournament to be terrible, never have it in Madison Square Garden again, and I don't think they're going to have it there again. But I think we were hoping for a disaster, so it's like, okay, let's just go back to Chicago and Indy. Let's just stick with what we know. And I think this at least opens the door for like more experimentation. Like they're gonna have it in Miami one year. I just know they are.
Tampa.
I know it's gonna be.
We're down in Tampa.
Let's get that Florida market. Let's have it. Oh, the Final Four's in San Antonio. Let's just have it in San Antonio. Get our guys ready. Get them used to the climate in San Antonio now.
I think it is a weird thing too with this. This Rutgers team, like how are they coming out of nowhere to now possibly be an upset and they could actually be the 5th team to make the tournament?
Yeah.
What if Rutgers just goes all the way, wins the title in Madison Square Garden, makes the tournament, they're the 5th Big Ten team to make it, Nebraska gets snubbed out because they don't win the Big Ten tournament or at least make a run.
Yeah.
And that means it's going to be in New York every year.
God.
Because the Rutgers market is there. They're all in. They're like, I love the Big Ten tournament. This is what I want.
Are they? Is there a Rutgers market? Is there?
Come on. Don't blame New Jersey.
So, yeah, Big Ten tournament's going on. As we're recording this, Michigan had a sizable lead, 10-point lead maybe or so on Nebraska.
Duncan Robinson, friend of the program, doing well.
Yeah, so Michigan was up on Nebraska. We're not sure what's going to happen with that one. It'll probably be over by the time we get done recording, so hopefully nothing too crazy happens there. Nebraska is a team that is on the bubble.
Tim
we
Miles.
have our eye on. Penn State is also a team that's on the bubble, and that's, again, I'm terrified of that. Let's transition into bubble talk then. Like, what team on the bubble – I guess we'll start with this. Who do you care the most about on the bubble, in the sense that you're gonna be the Dickie V, as Dickie V always picks his team, always says they have to make the tournament. If they do make the tournament, then he switches over to a team that didn't make the tournament. But usually the team that he likes does not make the tournament, and then he goes on ESPN on Selection Sunday and is like doing his hand cup thing where he's like, I don't believe it. I just
Look
these
at
kids.
this.
He's like, these kids just work so hard all year, and to not even give them a chance, as though like
Tony Carr, 30 points.
Because Dickie V doesn't realize that like in order to put that team in, you have to now take another
team, which he's gonna be very upset when
so
that happens.
Who is your team that you're gonna be doing that for when they don't get in, and you're just gonna be like, this is so unfair?
It's on the record that I've said on this podcast, and this is based off just a few games of watching, but I think Temple is one of the most talented teams in the country.
Because you watched them one time against Wichita State.
They were unbelievable. Quentin Rose, I've watched Quentin Rose since, and the guy is just an ISO assassin. I love watching him play. I really love that Temple team, but as I looked at the A-10 standings, there's literally no world in which they make it unless they win the A-10 tournament. So you can't cry when there's no roadmap for them to make it outside of winning the tournament.
Right.
So I can't say them. My next team that I have is a little bit of a shocker and maybe a little bit of a bias because I've been to a few games out here. I think it's UCLA. And I say that because I want UCLA. So they have Chris Wilkes, Jalen Hands, two freshmen that we both have seen in person. I know you love Chris Wilkes. He's Indiana Mr. Basketball, the new Reggie Miller. Everyone's in love with this kid. He's a great shooter, 6'8", lanky, just the most skinny kid you've ever seen, awesome basketball player. And then you have Jalen Hands, who's this awesome point guard. And they have Holiday there. They have some veteran leadership. Obviously, they have Thomas Welsh, the
pick and pop,
the pick and pop 15-footer.
Can only shoot 15-footers. You shoot a 13-footer. It's going 2 feet over the rim.
Can we call him the toothpick? I feel like that's the name. Yeah, like the toothpick, or I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Thomas, we love you, by the way, if you're listening.
Yeah, great player, fun guy. So UCLA is that team to me that's kind of stuck out. I know they're quote unquote the first four out right now that I see on most of Lenardi's bubble. But I think if you get Hands and Wilkes in there, and then you have Sharif O'Neal come in next year, you have the tournament experience of those guys. and then you bring Sharif in, who's a 5-star guy. It makes UCLA a top 15 program next year.
Holiday's definitely gone, right?
Yeah, he's a senior.
No, he's not a senior. Because if he was a senior, I'd be more excited about the Pac-12 3-on-3.
Yeah, he's a junior then.
He's a junior, but is he like? But he there was talk like as of a week or two ago that he was Pac-12 Player of the Year over Ayton, is what people were saying, which is not going to happen anymore. But
who was saying that?
I don't know. Like some people.
Bill Walton?
Many people. Multiple sources.
Champions.
I had a source inside the FBI thing that was telling me that.
So many sources.
I heard it on a wiretap that they were saying that Holiday might be Pac-12. Okay, I'm ready to report that. But I think he's going to be gone anyway. He's probably just going to go to the NBA because that's how it works. It's like if you're kind of good. But I was going to say, if he's coming back,
then that's a real scary team.
This feels like an NIT team though. Like send them to the NIT, let them win the NIT.
Yeah.
Do what TCU's doing this year.
Then next year when they're in the tournament, NIT will tweet out some things like, "Remember the UCLA team from last year?
Remember when we discovered Chris Wilkes and how good he was?
Yeah, remember the Bruins battling the top of the NIT?
I'm with you. I want UCLA. I really like. I've grown very fond of UCLA. Being out here, I've been to a couple games. I sat right next to Steve Alford in New Orleans this year. I'm a fan of that program.
One thing I will say about UCLA, I do not like Steve Alford's Bob Knight rule of thumb where if we lose the game, I have to blame players. I really don't like that, and I've seen it a few times, and I've tried to like let it wash over me as if I didn't see it, but that's one thing I will say. Like, don't blame Chris Wilkes or Jalen Hands.
It's called accountability, Tate. You ever heard of it? I mean, my God, you millennials these days just don't have – no one wants to take responsibility for anything.
I've never seen someone blame their players quite like that. Do you have a team that you care about?
My team – so I'm with you on UCLA. I have a couple I have a lot, actually. I'm going to ride for the Big Ten guys. I want Nebraska. Again, it's sort of in their hands. So as I'm speaking, maybe Nebraska's down by 40 against Michigan, in which case, like, disregard that I'm saying they should. Yeah. So, like, they sort of have an opportunity right now to beat Michigan and make their own case. But as it stands right now, heading into this Michigan game, I would really like to see Nebraska make it. Tim Miles was – I don't know if he was on the hot seat. I think people have to care about your program to put you on a hot seat, and I don't know if enough people actually cared. And Tim Miles was an all-time – I'll put it this way. He was an all-time good guy.
Yes.
Like, last year – They had the Petaway year where Nebraska was like pretty good, and then they were like disappointing, and then it's just sort of
that was like 2015.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be like the springboard for Nebraska, and then like now we're gonna build something, and then they just sort of haven't built it. So for Nebraska to get to the NCAA tournament, I want them to actually win a game in the NCAA tournament, which has never ever happened in the history of the program. So I'm with them. Penn State, obviously, the fact that they have destroyed my alma mater twice, probably going to be 3 times tonight. If they beat Ohio State tonight, they're in, right? The problem is, like, those are the only wins they have.
Yeah, and that's because then it comes down to matchups, right?
Yeah,
that's going to be the
bad
matchup.
Like,
well, it's a bad matchup for Ohio State. We've seen that. They don't have anyone that can guard.
It's almost like if they beat Ohio State, it's almost a bad thing because it's like, well, then clearly
it's just
the matchup. It's not it's not that they're that good. It's
who guards Tony Carr? I mean, it's not Dockage, right? I think it might have to be Dockage. You know how Dan Dockage locked down Jordan? Like,
yeah,
that's the old fairy tale. Even though Jordan had 2 fouls and Dean Smith sat him down, but somehow it came out that Dockage shut down Jordan.
Right.
I want Andrew Dockage to have that moment against Tony Carr in this third game. We don't know what's going to happen, but that's my prediction.
His moment's going to come in the NCAA tournament when we play Arizona in the 4-5 game in the second round.
Right?
And he tries to take a charge on DeAndre Ayton. And DeAndre Ayton has 4 fouls, and Dockage like goes to take a charge, and just like he does the move where you just like throw your pelvis into the guy, and he gets the call. And then,
they thought that they shot him out of a t-shirt cannon because Ayton's just going to send him. It's going to the JJ Barea thing against Andrew Bynum. He just literally just throws him out of the way. That would be good.
So I like Penn State, Nebraska. I'm gonna write for them, but just in terms of, I'm not saying they belong. I'm not arguing resume. At this point I've lost track of like what it means to have a good resume. The whole quadrant system completely screwed me up. It's like, folks, throw out the old system. Just get it out of here.
Welcome to Quadrant 1.
We are in the new system. It's all quadrant.
Yes.
The RPI sucked. Instead, we're going to go off quadrant system, in which we use the RPI heavily. And it's like, what? What is this system? I'm so confused.
I think it's awesome because if you read any piece now about the tournament or about March, like coming up in the bubble watch, it's all like, well, North Carolina has 9 Q1 wins. That's tied for the most in the nation. And you're like, I don't even know what that means. Who are the Q1?
The one thing it has done is it makes the people who talk about this stuff sound a lot smarter.
Yes.
It definitely does that.
It makes them like part of the analytics revolution,
Yes.
but they're really just relying on the same stuff, but they're using new terms, so it seems
Yes.
like it's new, but it's the exact
So
same thing.
you and I have no idea what they're talking about. We're like, oh, we must trust him. I mean, if Lenardi says 6Q1 wins, that must mean something. He obviously knows what he's talking about more than I do. But anyway, I don't know what the team I'm about to talk about. I don't know how they stack up with the Q1, the Q2, all that strength of schedule. But we need them in the tournament. It's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yes. That was my
We
second
need
pick.
Notre Dame in the tournament.
Yes.
Bonzi's back.
Yes.
We got to do the thing where you just like, our star player was not playing all year. Throw all that out the window and be like, look, we were 3-1 on the season with Bonzi Colson. You extrapolate that over the course of the year, we're like a 3 seed maybe.
Yeah, put your per 100s or whatever the hell you want to and figure it out. But I will say this, that's the whole point of the play-in game. Like in this tournament, now that we went from 64 to 68, they always had the 11s or 12s or whatever, like battling to be the 12 seed.
Right.
I think that you should just do 64 like you normally did, and then the 4 teams, you just pick 4 fun teams that you want to see in the tournament. It's like Notre Dame should be in the tournament, and obviously it didn't work out. Throw them in there. Temple, we love Quentin Rose. Throw them in there, and then we just let them play it out, and we see what happens. Just pick 4 teams that are fun.
We should do an adversity playing game.
Yeah.
With like Missouri, Notre
Maryland.
Dame, Maryland. Like
Yes.
let these teams that like, well, we would have been better if not for Arizona could be in there. Do like one. Well, Arizona's going to be in anyway. but,
Arizona
like,
has 2 spots. They have to play the Adversity Bowl, but then they have like their 4 seed that they can wait on.
do an adversity playing game where it's like, yeah, we're on the bubble, but look, here's why. How long
Syracuse.
was Bonzi out, by the way?
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
So I forget
It
when
was
he
the
went
1st
out.
of January and then all the way up
So
until it was like the
they
entire
still-
ACC run.
They still lost at home to Ball State.
But
with
they still
Bonzi
won the
being
Maui
there.
Invitational, Titus. How do you not
That's
remember
true.
that?
That's true. Maui Invitational champion.
It matters. Top 5 team. They beat Wichita State.
When's the last time a Maui champion didn't make the tournament? I wonder. Someone listening.
Someone looked that up. Someone
Wait,
find
didn't Dayton win the Maui? I think they probably made the tournament though that year.
They had to
Dayton
have.
won Maui one year.
Maui's usually a good precursor for a team making a deep run in the tournament.
You just say that because you're a Carolina fan, and every time they win it, they win the national
Win the title. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You don't
But-
ever pay attention.
Well,
to
the
anything
precedent
else.
has been set. So
Yeah.
sorry, guys.
So yeah, those are a team. I also like. You brought up Syracuse. Are we really going to leave Jim Boeheim out of 2 tournaments in a row? On the bubble.
I don't even think that they're. You know how they do the wave, or it's like next 4, or it's first 4 and then next 4. I haven't seen them in the next 4.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have a chance unless they
think so
make a
either.
run in the ACC tournament. But the funny thing about Jim Boeheim's zone in the ACC right now is the first 2 years that he was in the ACC, everyone shit their pants when they played Syracuse. Like every single team, it was just like, I have no idea what to do with this zone. Who are these people? Like, how are they so good? Who is this white guy? Out here just like Tyler Lydon, just like unbelievable in the zone. And now every team that plays them, they just exactly know how to beat the zone. They learn how to beat Boeheim's zone, and he hasn't changed it obviously in 25 years. And then Hodgkins goes to Washington and just steals his zone from him and makes it better.
So I would say that Syracuse's zone is still good.
Good, but not great. Beatable in the ACC.
The problem is more
hard to
their
face in the
offense.
tournament.
Yeah, hard to face. It's the curveball. It's the knuckleball.
Yes.
It's the
We're facing Tim Wakefield in the tournament. And we're not ready for
because
this.
as we brought up many times, no one has any idea how to run zone offense. But yeah, Syracuse. I don't know. I need Jim Boeheim back in the tournament. I can't do 2 years in a row. Like they made the Final Four in 2016. What were they then? Like an 11 seed, a 10 seed?
Yeah, 10 seed.
They were 10 seed.
when
that's
they were
right.
when they made the Final Four. That was with Lydon.
So they were like
and
on the bubble
Malachi.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
He's got Buddy coming in next year though.
Let's be
He's
honest.
the son.
What do we really want? We want Jim Boeheim in the tournament. Okay, if we don't get that, what do we really want? We want him on TV talking about all the FBI stuff with Jim Calhoun.
Ooh.
Just put him on a panel. Just let those guys.
Yes.
It was
Jim and Jim.
Oh, and Patino, the 3 of them. That's
Oh
my
my God.
ESPN, CBS panel.
Dude, I
Someone
would
figure it
watch.
out.
I would. Oh
Seth Davis and those 3.
no.
That's a
come on,
conversation.
Come on. Why would you ruin it? Don't ruin it. Don't
Well,
ruin it.
they would want to kill. It would just be a good. There's no winner in this.
Patino. So let me think about this. Patino,
Calhoun and Boeheim preaching to
doing
people
like
about cheating in college basketball.
doing like a round table. They got
Yes.
it's got to be like a 30-minute show, like a special. I don't want to coming back from like here's the halftime break. We got all these
Look,
guys.
we'll call it coaches only, and we'll just put them in there. We'll put them in a nice room like this studio right here where they feel comfortable and they don't feel like their own camera, but they obviously know their own camera and they know they're mic'd up, and they just have a candid conversation about dropping the bag.
Get Doug Gottlieb in there too to just like say inappropriate things. Like, I'm here to bring the white man's perspective. Like, he already said that. Like, get him to say something there, and then they all. So everyone, I guess you're right. We do need like a Seth Davis or Doug Gottlieb for all three coaches to turn on.
Yes,
just, like,
so they're all together. Like, they're all on the same side.
Yeah, like have someone just basically be against them, and yeah.
And talk about how bad and corrupt college basketball
corrupt.
is, and those guys to be so offended for them to say
Dude,
that.
this would be awesome.
Yeah, and they talk about the old Big East.
I'm sorry, Syracuse fans. I don't want Syracuse to make it. I want them out of the tournament. I want these guys talking about this. Two other teams that I didn't realize were on the bubble. You and I were talking about this. You brought it up to me, and I was like, "Yeah, they're in." You brought these teams up, and you're like, "Are they on the bubble?" I was like, "No, they're definitely in because they play in the Big 12. In the Big 12, every team is in except Iowa State, basically, and Oklahoma State. They're not in, right?
And maybe Texas.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
You brought up Texas and Baylor as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of surprised to discover they're not as much of a lock as I thought. There was like this sense of basically the Big 12 did so well in the non-conference. And then you get to the conference, and like all the teams are kind of beating up on each other, and you always had to like, well, we have a bad record, but we're in the Big 12. We're just beat it. Look what we did before. And if you put like Baylor, Scott Drew's saying, if you put us in the Pac-12, we'd be the third best team or the second best team, you know. So I always thought like all these teams were safe. As it turns out, not so much.
But it comes back to the point where the skewed perspective of the Big 12 is, you say something like, well, Texas is 7th in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, you're like, well, I mean, there's 5 teams behind Texas, and I guess that makes sense. You know, there's going to be 8 teams in the ACC, so why can't there be 7 teams in the Big 12? But then you realize the Big 12 is actually 10 teams.
Yep.
And you realize the Big 10's 14 teams, and it all plays with your head a little bit. So I think that's what sort of happened with Baylor and Texas. Everyone's like, well, there's the 6th best team in the Big 12. And you're like, well, that sounds pretty good. At least they're in the top half. And
or
it's
like
like, that's not the case.
Arizona State, the 9th best. I didn't think about that until I didn't think about it until a Pac-12 fan tweeted at me that like, hey, everyone shits on the Pac-12, but the 9th best team is going to the tournament. Like, how bad of a conference can we really be? Or like, I don't know where Arizona State is now. Maybe they're like
no, they're 9th.
They're still 9th?
Yeah, they're 9th.
So
they're going to make the tournament because they're a top 5 team.
How bad can we really be? And the answer is still bad. And should Arizona State make this? Can you finish 9th in the Pac? Like, just say those words, Tate. The 9th place team in the Pac-12 is getting an at-large bid.
And then you come back to me and say Notre Dame.
Yeah,
who is literally the same team, like the same process where they get up to the top 5 and they completely fall off the face of the earth, has no shot at getting in the tournament.
Right.
So it's like, what are the values? You can't say the ACC, you can't rank the ACC as the best conference in basketball and then put in the 9th best Pac-12 team and then not put in a Louisville or a Notre Dame. Yeah, so if you look at the ACC bracket, they're going to be the 9 seed, and then they're going to play Florida State, another team that's on the bubble that everyone's kind of wondering, are they going to be in, are they going to be out?
I'm not into this Florida State team. Notre Dame's got to win. Florida State does nothing for me this year. No offense, Florida State. Like, I've liked Florida State teams in the past. This team's not really doing it for me.
But there's been so many moments, like you mentioned Florida State. Remember when Florida State went to Florida, when everyone thought Florida was a top 5 team, and they beat Florida, and we watched that game, and we're like, holy shit, I think Florida State might be one of the best teams in the country. So there's been like tons of teams. That's just a random aside. But anyways, they play Florida State as the 9 and the 8, and then they'll play Virginia in the next round, who's the 1 seed, which is the ultimate. So if they beat Virginia,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you look at these and you're like, oh shit, we have to play the good team. But when you're in this situation, this is kind of what the conference tournaments are for. Is it gives you great opportunities to, like, Penn State's probably, like you said, they're almost like mad that they have to play Ohio State probably, because it's like, we've already beat Ohio. We already have that on our resume twice. We don't need a third.
We want to play Michigan.
We want to play Michigan or Purdue or Michigan State and add some fresh blood to our resume. Yeah, that's the story I'm cheering for then. Notre Dame. I want Virginia to do well. We love Kyle Guy. We love Virginia, but you got to sacrifice. You got to take one for the team here, Virginia.
Can we do a quick tangent when you talk about Virginia? Can we talk about the game last night?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the game. We can get off bubble talk. That's enough bubble talk.
We talked about the bubble. The bubble will burst. People will freak out. Dick Vitale will be very upset that Syracuse does not make it, but that will also lead to Jim Boeheim and Dick Vitale probably talking at some point on ESPN, so we'll enjoy that. Last night, Louisville, Virginia, for people that didn't say, it was at Louisville. Virginia is down 4 points with the basketball. Ty Jerome has the ball. They're driving down the floor. 3.5 seconds left. We're ticking down. Now there's
3.4. Now there's 3.3. I'll give you a visual. Now there's 3.2.
Yes.
Now he's still driving. Now there's 3.1.
And the whole Virginia bench is like doing the classic, like, he got fouled, but you don't think it's going to get called. It gets called. Ooh. Ty Jerome, the Iceman himself, goes to the line, makes the first 2 free throws. So now we're down 1. Virginia's down 1. And then we have a lane violation. I believe it was on Isaiah Wilkins. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was on a Virginia player. So, anyways, they lose the shot. They're still down 1. Out of bounds. Louisville gets the ball. Dang Adele inbounding the ball. And you have to stay. You know, if you move on the baseline in this situation, it is a travel.
Like a puppy. You're like,
yes,
stay.
Sit. Right there. Come on. Okay. And he takes off, sprints to his left. It gets automatically called as a travel. The Virginia bench is going crazy, which in my mind I'm thinking you still only have 9/10 of a second left and you're down 1 point. What are the chances that you can even get a shot off?
Yeah.
They inbound the basketball. They use Kyle Guy as the perfect decoy.
Yep.
It's like the Steph Curry, Kevin Durant thing. It's like Kyle Guy's going to be Curry here. I'm going to be the decoy. Everyone's looking at him. And then our boy DeAndre Hunter, a man that tweeted out college basketball better than the NBA not too long ago. And I was like, good for you, DeAndre Hunter. Yeah.
Ooh.
Friend of the program.
Ooh, okay.
Friend of the program.
Nice.
We throw it into him, and then he just jacks it up, banks a 3. Virginia goes crazy. Everyone in Louisville, it's just like the compilation of their season all put into one moment where it's like, we have so much talent. This is going to work out. We're going to go to the... Boom.
Fire our interim coach who was never getting hired anyway.
Dave Paget.
Get him out of here.
It was an amazing moment, though. I've never seen anything like it. I try to think of... there's nothing like it.
You know who Hunter sprayed for the game winner, by the way? Did you see who he...
Was it Snyder?
No, better. Dang Adele.
Oh.
Dang
it.
Dang.
That's tough.
He traveled, and then he got sprayed for the game winner. That's tough. So the only time I think about, like... The thing that I think about when I think about like these incredible comebacks, like improbable, how could it possibly happen, is I always think about like the bigger margin. I can't remember like a quick 0.9 seconds left. Like basically what I'm saying is I remember the one that always sticks out is the Northern Iowa Texas A&M in the tournament 2 years ago.
Jesperson.
Yeah, where A&M comes back down 12.
Virginia transfer, ironically enough. Everything connects.
A&M down 12. Comes back with 35 seconds left or something, I want to say, sends it in overtime. That was the one that stood out. The Duke Maryland one from 01, classic. Never forget that as long as I live. Mike Patrick on the call. R.I.P. Mike Patrick, retiring from ESPN. Pour one out for his career. So those are the two that like stood out, but I can't ever remember like one where it was like 0.9 seconds or like there's like you're down 7 with 3 seconds and you pull it out like that.
And as stupid as this is, this whole conversation about putting in a 4-point line, like everyone, I don't know why that's a new thing. Everyone's like, maybe we can put a 4-point line. Like the NIT will probably have a 4-point line.
Chris Webber was riding hard for that at the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's like the new thing.
All-Star game.
It's like boycotting the Final Four. You know, it's like the new cool thing to say.
Do we have a 4-point line for our 3-on-3 thing we're hosting? I hope not.
I hope we do.
Okay. Yeah.
But we should have a 4-point line for things like that, like the 3-on-3, like Ice Cube's 3-on-3. Like, sure, put a 4-point line. But people want it in college basketball as a test for the NBA, which I think is ridiculous because then you're basically admitting it's a farm system at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. But they say that because if you're down 4, you're out of the game. But this completely debunks that whole theory. Because Virginia did it. They were down 4 with 3 seconds left, and they won the game by 2.
You know what that tells me? We need a 5-point line.
Yes.
Put in a 5-point line. So what I want to see, and this will never happen, but I need to see it from a player at some point because this is like, you know the meme where it's like you got the brain and it like gets bigger and it's like exploding and it's I think it's called like galaxy brain or something and it's like this is one idea and it's like the brain is big and then the brain gets bigger and then explodes. Here's my galaxy exploding brain idea. You're up with less than a second left, and you're taking the ball underneath your own basket.
Just throw it at somebody.
All Dang Adele had to do was, like, the guy that was guarding him, well, I guess they're only up 1. So all Dang Adele had to do was just, like, drop the ball on the ground right in front of him in bounds. And then Virginia would have had to, like, bend over, pick it up, turn, and shoot, like, all in a second. They're not getting that shot off. Or if you're up, like, 3, and you're taking the ball out and up,
roll it, dude.
Just set the ball down. Now they have to pick it up and like run it out and shoot. Like they would be so confused. Like, what's happening? You know, I just want to see that happen one time. I guess if it doesn't work, you look like a total asshole. But I don't know. It will work.
But it goes back to like if you're Dave Paget and you're an interim coach and you know that you're not going to get hired at Louisville. I would just see what like maybe I'll be remembered forever for I had 9/10 of a second left and I told Dang Adele to throw a fastball at Ty Jerome and hopefully the clock runs out.
Right. David Paget, Louisville fans. Yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of like hatred towards David Paget. Like,
I love tall coaches.
Yeah.
I really am a fan of them because he's like rare, you know, in the world. And I just don't understand why they've turned on Dave Paget. So I feel like he's done a pretty good job, but everyone expected this team to win a title. But that was under Patino.
They were good. Someone sent us it. So I tweeted out before we did this pod, like, give us some ideas to talk about, and because you know we're just kind of all over the place doing a hodgepodge.
Casual Fridays.
It's casual Friday doing a hodgepodge pod today. And someone said I think it'd be interesting if you talked about coaches who are going to miss the tournament, could they go like take all the coaches that are going to miss the tournament, and what team could you put them on and like make that team a national title contender immediately? And the very first thought I had was like, Rick Pitino's not going to be in the tournament. What if he was coaching Louisville?
Oh my God,
that would be interesting. Can you imagine? So that was that like kind of answered I don't know. I just thought that was like if Pitino's at Louisville, this would be a very different team.
Do you think that any network will let Rick Pitino come on and talk about college basketball at this point? Do you think he's completely just besmirched? Like he is. It's like the blackball. That there's no way that they're going to let him come on and talk, because I don't think he's at that point yet. And I think
absolutely not. I think every network wants him on.
I think the more that we get these like the more that the Sean Miller thing drags out, where it's like a report versus the word of the coach, and like no one knows what the answer is until the FBI actually comes out. And we should say the FBI doesn't have to tell us anything,
right?
Which is the most amazing.
We might not ever have any more information on any of this ever.
Because we don't know who's leaking.
And the NCAA, the FBI doesn't have to tell the NCAA anything.
No.
Like the NCAA is going Mark Amber's calling the FBI like, hey, so all this shit that's going on, I should probably do something about this. Do you have any information? And they're just going to laugh at him and hang up and say, no, we're not talking to you.
If we were doing a One Shining Podcast investigation as to, how has Woj not gotten Marquette into the tournament, and ESPN calls us and they say, can we get your notes on what's going on with Woj and Marquette? We'd be like, no, it's our investigation.
No. Yeah, right.
Go do your own independent investigation, and we'd hang up on them. This is a hodgepodge. A hodgepodge.
Casual Friday.
At this point, Casual Friday. We're going to do a little bit of a segment here, I guess. It's basically tournament teams you want no part of, but it's a premature picks.
It's like the dark. We're not calling them dark horses yet because we don't know where the seeds are.
We're just gonna call them horses, I guess.
Just horses right now. It's too soon to call them dark. No, I think we should do, because the big complaint that we get on here all the time is you guys talk about the same. Why do you guys only talk about the same 64 programs? You never talk about my team. It's like, my God, dude, do you know how many teams there are in college basketball?
I'm sorry we didn't get to Mercer.
Yeah, we have not got to Mercer.
We want to talk about Mercer.
We would love to talk about Mercer. Calm down, okay?
Yeah.
And there's so much shit going on. We're doing the best we can. Like
Belmont, we're sorry.
Listen, don't complain to us. Complain to our bosses that we only get 2 shows a week. Like we would love to do this every day.
Complain to producer Kyle.
Complain to
send him all your tweets.
All complaints to producer Kyle. And while you're at it, complain about how we don't have merch yet and no duffel bags for people to buy. Just send all that shit to Kyle. But anyway, we're gonna throw the friends of the program a bone. We hear your complaints. Keep in your pants. Calm down. My God.
Wow, so that was good. You said throw him a bone, and then you said keep it in your pants. That's pretty good. Way to go.
So here, what we came up with was like we were just talking about teams that like basically we're scared of North Carolina and Ohio State to play. It all comes back to Carolina and Ohio State, as it always does. But the teams that like, the
teams that if you are Virginia, and you are a 1 seed, and you are in the South, and this team is in your bracket, and they're your 4 seed, you're just petrified because this is your nightmare.
If you're Xavier and you're a 1 seed and you're winning the Big East and you're very excited because you finally took down Villanova and won the Big East, and oh my God, what an incredible run it's been to go from the A-10 and now we're in the Big East and now we're winning the Big East and it's incredible. But then you take a step back and you're like, but I don't actually think we have a good team. And we win every game by like 2 in overtime, and now I'm actually terrified.
It's like Trayvon Blewett heroics that wins every game.
And you're one of those Xavier fans. You're like, oh crap, what's going to happen next? These are the teams you do not want to see in your bracket. You're crossing your fingers. Tate, who would you say is number 1? Because I think we're in joint agreement on the obvious number 1.
It's Arizona.
It's absolutely
without
Arizona.
a doubt. And we understand that at this point we're basically pandering to Arizona because we've now done the Sean Miller Redemption Tour.
We're not stupid. We see that Arizona fans hate the media. So Tate and I are jumping at the opportunity, and we're like, hey, Arizona fans.
Well, we know we're not the media, so we're totally fine to take that role.
How about you love us? We'll fight your fights for you.
It's a good lane to have. We should say the reason that Arizona is a tournament team to watch out for, because it's all coalesced into this perfect situation where you got the coach, Sean Miller, who has never been adored and beloved as much as he is right now. Yeah. And we should say that Sean Miller has constantly been like, he has to get the monkey off his back. He has to make it to a Final Four. It's like a golfer when he hasn't won a major. It's like, Phil Mickelson has to win a major or he's not validated as a coach. And Sean Miller's been on that shtick forever. And now, with this FBI investigation, he has now endeared himself to the Arizona people, where they actually support Sean Miller, and he's our coach. He's their coach now.
Did you see when he got introduced at the game against Stanford last night?
It was like Rocky Balboa going back to the steps. They were pumped.
They haven't cheered for him that loudly since ever.
Since they announced him.
Not even when they announced him. They're like, who's this guy? The guy from Xavier? Who is he? And now, my God, this is the single greatest thing that's ever happened to Sean Miller's career. It was all of this, and It's my favorite scandal. It really is. There's no victims. And Sean Miller's not going to sue. By the way, like that point was brought up. Like I'm not smart enough to understand all that, but I saw like people smarter than me making that point that like
it was a defamation case.
If Sean Miller sues for defamation, if he sues ESPN, then he's gonna have like actual dirty stuff get dug up.
Yeah,
and he's like, I
don't want anyone to, He's like, we're fine where we stand.
Yeah.
The report was wrong. You were wrong. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Leave it at that.
The fans love me now. This is awesome. But Arizona, I really wanted them to blow out Stanford last night. They did not. It was
Reed Travis had a great game.
Yeah. It was they won kind of.
Stanford's a tough team.
I never doubted that Arizona was going to win, but the hope was like they were going to win by 34 or something, and you're like, oh god.
This is the monster of Arizona basketball that we've been talking about all season. And last year it was Duke was a team. There was so much drama around the team. We remember when the season started, Bolden and Tatum and Giles all sitting out together. No one knew why. Like that was the whole storyline last year. And Arizona's been like that, where it's even though Ayton's played every game for whatever reason, it's been like, what's going on with DeAndre Ayton? Or like, why can't they figure out this lineup with him? Why can't they win every game with the number one player? Yeah, why can't they throw him a damn entry pass for once?
You have every 7-footer in college basketball that isn't named Isaac Haas, and you can't feed the post. How is this?
You can't even throw lobs.
Yeah, you can't throw lobs at him. How is this? What is happening? Yeah.
And so they have that whole storyline, and then you have the FBI with Sean Miller, obviously, and then you have the team that has not eclipsed the Elite Eight and has to get the monkey off their back. So all three of those huge storylines all come into one, and now it's us against the world, which is the other wrinkle into this, where now they have the Fab Five thing to pull off. Well, nobody wants to see Arizona basketball at the top of the mountaintop again. Nobody wants to see us on that pedestal because they think we're a bunch of cheaters. And I love Coach Miller. I haven't seen him all week. Ristich came out and said he missed Coach Miller being around the program all week, which played to the heartstrings a little bit. I just think Arizona, everyone's going to buy in as far as everyone, meaning friends of the program and us.
Are we worried that the refs are going to screw Arizona, like the NCAA? Mark Emmerich going to give the call and say,
as someone
stop this.
That literally had to watch North Carolina go 2016, 2017 with everyone saying that's what the refs were going to do to them.
That's true.
It didn't happen, and I don't expect that to happen in Arizona because at the end of the day, people are going to pay more money to watch Arizona play in a game than they're going to watch Richmond play in a game. And the NCAA tournament's about money,
Throwing shots at Richmond. Wow.
I love Richmond. Wow. Great program.
What I'm cheering for, I'm honestly, if you're asking me right now today, do I want Ohio State to win the national championship, or do I want Arizona to win the national championship and then 1 month later news to break that the wiretap did exist and it was bad?
Yes.
And not only was it DeAndre Ayton, it was literally every person on the roster.
It was Dusan Ristich.
Yeah. It was like every single – if you ask me that, honestly, I don't know what I'd rather have, Tate. Like that to me would be the dream scenario is Arizona wins the national title, and then it turns out Sean Miller was lying the whole time, and yeah. The saga continues.
Well, the best case scenario was, how they have all the security guards like that surround the area at the Final Four, and like they watch out. They don't want anyone obviously to rush the court or whatever. What if they were just all FBI agents, and as soon as the confetti falls down, they just go straight beeline?
I am an FBI agent. Johnny Utah's there. So yeah, Arizona. I guess we should mention like part of making a great tournament run is you actually do have to have a good team at some point.
Yes.
So I would like to see that. Let's focus on that. Like they got the part where it's like nobody believes in us. Screw everybody. Us against the world. But do they have the part where it's like now let's try to put the ball in the basket more than the other team?
I think
that's the concern.
It's an Alkins and Ayton domination tour waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from I think the Trier thing actually may work out for them. I do hate how he's like going in and out of the lineup so much, but it seems like when Trier plays, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, he is the number one option. And someone just needs to go to Alonzo Trier and say, you're number 3 option.
Yeah, you're not that good. I feel like Arizona fans want to do that. Like Trier's they're in a weird spot with Trier where it's like, we know he's good, but like,
he's taking a few too many shots for us.
If you put truth serum in Arizona fans and asked them how heartbroken they were by Alonzo Trier being suspended, they would probably be like,
they're like, it's a good shake to the roster. Let's see what Coach Miller's about.
It wasn't that big a deal. So Arizona's the obvious team. Who other than that do you have? Give me like one team. Give me your one pick outside of Arizona, and I have mine.
NC State, North Carolina State.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know that's even better one because they're also based on the Yahoo report a little in trouble possibly with the FBI.
No. Yeah. Kevin Keats said he's 100%.
Yes, that's true. Kevin Keats, good guy, never going to be implicated in anything. I think NC State is one of those teams where people forget that NC State is a program that not only has won national titles but has a history in the tournament of doing some incredible things. Like in 2015, they beat the Villanova team that went to win the title in 2016.
They did.
You know, people forget.
People do
and
forget.
I think North Carolina State as a 10 seed is the scariest 10 seed you could have if you're a 2 seed.
What was the year that they won? I think
Julius Hodge.
They played in Columbus, I think, Ohio in the tournament. They were like an 8 seed and they beat a 1 seed again, right? And then like the next year they came back and they were ranked 5th in the country and then they sucked.
Yeah.
Did that
It
happen?
was 2014, right?
Like 2014 they upset somebody in the tournament. And then it was like they bring everybody back, and then they were like preseason like 7th or something. And everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
That's my whole point about NC State. They do not thrive when they are expected to do well, and I think a lot of people have already written them off as like, "Who cares about NC State?" But you look at their roster, and they've beat North Carolina, they've beat Duke. This team is like Braxton Beverly is the perfect state point guard to hit like a big floater at the end of the game to get a win. Like the Chris Chioza moment, I can already see it happening with them upsetting a 2 seed.
I like Braxton Beverly. That'd be cool if he could have played at Ohio State or something. For example, just like I don't know how interested I don't know how interested he ever was in going to Ohio State or if we were recruiting him or anything. I don't know the story there, but man, that would have been cool if he could have played.
And then you got Yurt 7, who is now locked in to be a first-round pick on every draft board I see. And I don't know. I think NC State's a really scary team. I don't think any 2 seed wants to play them.
They got nothing to lose, is what you're saying. Yeah, like
I'm saying they may win the ACC tournament and then may run the table in the NCAA tournament, and people will be shocked. And you talk about a better story. What if they win the title, and then the FBI comes out and it's like, "Hey, dumbasses, you paid $73,000."
What if Dennis Smith? I mean, Dennis Smith is in Dallas.
Yeah.
The Final Four is in San Antonio. If NC State wins it, Dennis Wood comes out.
All eligible players, baby.
Dennis Smith. Called him Dennis Wood because I said Dennis Smith comes out, talks about slinging wood or whatever his tweet was.
Yeah.
What was the phrase he used?
He was like, "Everyone has a natural talent in life. Mine happens to be slinging this wood in my pants." Legend, Junior Smith.
Yeah.
So that's my team. NC State, watch out for them. What about you?
I'm with you. I guess it's funny. We both picked our rivals. We both picked like
that's because we're unbiased.
Yeah, we are. Because I'm gonna say Michigan.
I'm without bias.
Look at us. Look how mature we are.
I know.
I'm picking Michigan. I really like Michigan. I think Michigan does
Wagner.
So Michigan State gets the reputation as the like team that always
turns it on
in March. And then that overshadows that Michigan does the exact same shit every year.
Yes.
That no matter how good or bad Michigan is, they go into the tournament. They got a good team. They are playing well at the right. I checked the score in the Nebraska game. They're up. They've extended their lead. They're up like 15 that I just checked. So looks like they're going to take care of business against Nebraska. But yeah, the difference between this Michigan team, best defensive team John Beilein maybe has ever had in his career. Maybe ever. I don't know how.
Is that what they're saying?
That's what we're saying. That's what they were saying on the FBI wiretap that I tapped into.
What do we know? Defense wins.
But no, this is unlike all the other Michigan teams that shoot a ton of threes and don't play defense. Like this team actually does play defense, and they have Wagner. We like him. Charles Matthews is like very interesting guy. Very like Big Ten Player of the Year good next year. I think he's that good, Tate. I'm buying into it. Like I think he comes back. I really believe in that.
So do you
he's
think
like a 6'6" point guard.
Yeah. Do you think they missed DJ Wilson?
Ooh.
Because he's one of those guys where there's this group of guys, but I wish that they were on the teams like Swanigan. You know,
right.
Close to our heart. So if Purdue had Swanee and Isaac Haas this year, I'm just like that's.
I have a theory about this. So do you remember like the Knicks teams, and then like Patrick Ewing would get hurt and they'd be really good?
No, I've never heard of it. What do they call that?
I came up with it. I was like, this reminds me of a theory with Pat. I call it the Ewing of the theory of Patrick Ewing is what I call it. Where a good player goes out and then
the theory of Sir Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah. So my pick's Michigan because I guess I go into every tournament. I don't necessarily trust Michigan because I don't. But by my nature, it's in my DNA. Even though I'm a guy who shoots a ton of threes and doesn't play defense in my own personal game, I don't trust teams that do the same thing that I like. So I typically don't like to trust Michigan, but this Michigan team feels very different, and that might be they're probably going to do the opposite. Now they're going to lose in the first round because of that.
But we always know that Wagner has been a matchup nightmare, especially for teams that have no idea how to play him, and I think he can do that again, and he's going to get himself
other
drafted
team. I'm gonna give myself a bonus pick. Other team that they're very highly ranked, very highly thought of, yet no one really talks about him, and no one's like taking him seriously. He's Gonzaga.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Kansas.
Oh no.
Just kidding.
I'm still come all the way around on Kansas. I'm willing to admit Kansas is a good team, but I'm not like I don't know.
Devontae Graham is going to be the Big 12 Player of the Year, according to Bill Self. And he made these little, like, casual, like, snide remarks. He's like, I don't think it should be what happens in December that gets you the Big 12 Player of the Year.
Now, hold on. I would agree with the idea that the Conference Player of the Year
should have
be like the conference games.
Yes.
Just like if you just look at the conference games. But, I mean, as we were laughing earlier, if you just look at Trae Young's conference stats, he's probably still averaging like 26 and 8 or something. It's just
we've been talking about Trae Young as if he's been averaging 4 points and 3 assists. He still leads the country in points with 29 points per game, and leads the country in assists with like 9 assists a game. So we need to temper it down a little bit.
If he was doing either one, if he was averaging 12 points and 9 assists, your mind would be blown. You'd be like, this guy's averaging 9 assists a game. If he was averaging 28 points and 3 assists, your mind would be blown. You'd be like, he's averaging 28 points a game, and he's doing both. And everyone's like, this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, what happened to Trae Young?
Get him out of my face. I don't want to see. Yeah, Devontae Graham's so much better. So yeah, but parting shot, Gonzaga. I just think Gonzaga has a really good team.
Johnny Williams.
But it feels like the Morrison era Gonzaga teams were like they haven't played a lot of marquee games. They've looked like sort of susceptible in certain spots, and no one really has any idea how good they are. Like last year's Gonzaga, I was like, that team is legit. I know they're legit. I don't care if they lose by 20 to a 16 seed in the first round. I still know what I'm seeing all season. This year's team is more like the traditional Gonzaga. Like I have no idea. I really don't, but
it's also another example. If we have Zach Collins and Johnny Williams, and that's your 4-5, Gonzaga's one of the scariest teams to face in the tournament.
Yeah. So that's Gonzaga. That's a. What, you got something else?
No, I was gonna say let's talk about the one mystery that's still out there and that could make one team a contender.
Ooh, speaking of teams you're scared of,
Missouri.
Play the music, Kyle.
And there it is, the Michael Porter Jr. mystery. It continues. It's been drawn out all season. We keep wondering and wishing for Michael Porter Jr. My favorite thing about Michael Porter Jr. now is we get asked from people, like, what do you think about Michael Porter Jr.'s game? Where do you think he's going to fall in the draft? And the best answer is nobody knows because no one has seen the kid play. I mean, other than if you went to a bunch of high school camps and were like, watch the guy work out. That's all the tape you can really get on him. But the interesting thing is Missouri is going to be an 8 or 9 seed. They're going to play a 1 seed, obviously, in the second round if they win. That's implicit. We know that. But if you get a Missouri team with Jonte Porter, his brother, and you get Michael Porter Jr.
Cassius Robertson.
And Michael Porter Jr. and Robinson and all these guys, they're all clicking. That's a really scary team to face in the second round if you're a 1 seed, right?
That is a scary team. But again,
granted, I will say I know nothing about Michael Porter Jr.'s game.
I should preface it. I've not seen Michael Porter Jr. play a single second of basketball ever. But here's what I have seen him do. I've seen him wear a jumpsuit.
Yes.
I've seen him wear like the earrings. He's got like the cool haircut. He's got he's got the eyes that sort of glisten. He looks the part. He very much looks the part. He's at Rupp Arena pointing out baddies. I don't know if you saw that.
He's like, look at that baddie over there, that blonde. Yeah.
Is that a word, by the way?
It's a word. It's what the kids are saying.
Oh my God, I'm so washed up.
It's all right.
Baddies?
Baddies.
Like she's a.
When I was coming up, we used to call them bunnies. Bunnies.
So it's like you used to call them bad bitches, but then that's too offensive. That's what happened. Like it was bad bitches, and it's like that's like, problematic. We gotta cut. So just go to baddies.
Slide out the second part of that. Yeah.
I see that. All right. So yeah, I know nothing about Michael Porter Jr.'s game except that he's tall.
He's 6'11".
He looks the part, but yeah. I think he's coming back. I think he is coming back.
So Kwanzaa came out and said if he feels good, which I love. I just love that we've catered this whole season toward Michael Porter Jr. at Missouri. Yeah. Like if he feels good, even though he's been cleared by all the doctors in the world, he may play Saturday. So we could see him tomorrow.
Okay.
Could be the Michael Porter Jr. mystery finally wrapping up, finally solved. We've celebrated it being solved like 15 times.
Yeah.
Whether it was based on people lying to us and saying he's going to play on Wednesday, or reports saying he got cleared to play.
Some guy on Reddit posted our pod from last time when I read the tweet that someone slid in our DMs and said that.
Yeah.
I'm hearing this.
Yeah, he's coming back for the Auburn game. That was what we were told.
No, and then the other one was like. His sister dates a Washington basketball player, and I'm friends with the Washington basketball player's cousin, and he tells me that Michael Porter is 50-50 on whether he's coming back, and then like we jokingly said that, and then like the Reddit people are like, oh my God, look at this, he might be coming back, guys. I think he should come back. I think knowing nothing about his game again, maybe he really is like a transcendent is the word I was going for. Impugned. Maybe he really is that good, but you and I were talking about this off air that like guys get so like the money will still be there sort of, and I get like I don't know. This is like a broken record argument that's been made 100 times, but it's like
You're saying pull a Miles Bridges, go back, try to win a title, like be a part of the
and I'm not
changing
saying that,
of the culture of
I'm
Missouri
not saying
basketball.
that as like a selfish like college basketball. We need more great players like you. I'm saying it as a guy like, dude, just come back. You'll be the #1 pick next year.
It's supposed to be a weaker draft class next year.
Yeah.
I will say this. I firmly believe with a lot of these guys that become 5 stars and get coordinated very, very early. One of my friends was like that. And when you go in and then you start watching all the college guys, sometimes you can be a little shell-shocked at how good everyone is.
Yeah. It's
and like, I don't fault him at all. I think it's really hard for him to try to come back at this point in the season and play with guys that have been playing for 4 months straight and try to get into physical shape. I mean, I'm sure just practicing with the team is tough.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting him to. I'm more worried that if he does come back and he sucks, people are going to do the Harry Giles thing where it's like, this guy's terrible.
Yeah, and especially it's hard for big guys. I don't know I don't know his skill set. So is he bringing up he's not running point. He's not like Ben Simmons, is he? Like running point?
No,
like,
I think he is.
Is he really?
I think he's like giving.
Because I was gonna say it's harder for big guys because you don't have the ball in your hand. So like it's easier for a guy like Kyrie who sits out all year and then he comes back.
It's like I'm the
for
point
Duke,
guard
and he's
now.
like I'm the point guard. I have the ball, so I'm gonna create on my own. It's harder for like Michael Porter to like, I don't know, but anyway.
I think he brings the ball up. I have no idea.
I think he should come back though to college. I think that's the move. I think like you're gonna make what $100 million in your career anyway. What's the difference between $100 million and like $106 million? Does it really matter that much? I don't know.
It sounds like the Mavericks want him. It sounds like a Mavs pick. The new Dwight Powell.
So that's the Michael Porter Jr. mystery.
We solved it.
We have nothing left. Nothing left to report. It's just like for the rest of time, it is he's healthy, he's ready. It's just his call. We're just gonna have to wait and see, and we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna keep doing the Michael Porter mystery all the way up until. Should we just do this the rest of his career? He's like a 13-year NBA vet. Time for the Michael Porter Jr. mystery.
Let's see if he's going to play this week against Detroit.
It is time to close up this podcast like we always do on Fridays with Dirty Laundry. Those of you who are new to the program, new friends of the program, we read manager stories. It started out as manager stories. It's become a little bit of a wider net.
It's just things that happen on the DL.
Yeah, just things you've noticed. I took class with this guy. I saw this guy at Target once, whatever. About your college basketball players, your coaches, your media types.
We were just hoping it would turn into Tyshawn Taylor stories, but
no one has sent us
no one sent us one yet. We're
there's
still
not
waiting.
a single Tyshawn Taylor story that's come in yet.
Come on, Kansas.
Interesting.
Send us some thoughts.
Interesting. Wink, wink. I feel like people aren't going to pick up on what we just did there. Wink, wink. So yeah, that's the bit. We have our DMs open at One Shining Pod. Slide in there. Tell us your stories. Again, don't mention names unless it's like something complimentary, like Kevin Stallings hitting a half-court shot behind the back,
which is amazing.
But if you're gonna put someone on blast, you don't need to put their name. Just say a player, a coach. You know,
we're not in the business of
fake news.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, we're not trying to impregnate anybody. So let's get started. I was a coach at a Midwestern junior college that also has a traditionally successful men's basketball program. When the economy and our funding tanked in 2008 to 2010, the school decided the team and cheerleaders needed to ride to the games on the same bus to save money. 3 pregnancies later, it doesn't happen anymore.
I'm going to say from personal experience, high school basketball.
Whoa, personal experience.
That's always the worst. No. I was never
wait.
I was never in the back of the bus, but you'd always see the cheerleader, like one of them go back. You're like, what the hell is that? Yeah, it's never good. Yeah, that we had to do that. We had to travel with our cheerleaders.
Did you just Michael Scott a Todd Packer story there where you're like, my buddies? You should have seen it, folks.
I was in the front taking notes. I was like Neil taking notes.
So these 2 cheerleaders come back, and me and my buddies are looking at them, and then my buddy bangs both of them.
I'm like, that is not an initiation back there.
What kind of bus ride? Like, what, that happened?
Dude.
See, I played basketball in college. I was a good player. I don't know if I've ever brought that up, but I played at Ohio State, and so I was taking my basketball career seriously, and I was always just locked in. But
this was high school, and I knew I had no hope for a future.
I am a sports information director at a mid-major program in the Midwest. 2 years ago, we were playing against a mid-major in our conference with a prominent head coach. I was sitting courtside, statting the game, when said coach called a play that resulted in a turnover. A fan sitting behind me shouted, "Hey, coach, you make $1 million a year and can't call plays right?" Without missing a beat, the coach turns around and makes eye contact with the fan, holds up 2 fingers and shouts, "It's $2 million," and then turns back to the game and went straight back into coaching.
Mark Gottfried. Definitely.
That sounds like Greg Marshall too.
Yeah, that's a really good
mid-major Midwest.
Oh, it's mid-major?
It says
I need to hear the qualifiers at the top.
Mid-major Midwest. That sounds like Greg Marshall to me.
Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty good.
He turned around. He's like,
I make $5 million though.
He's like, I make 2, but when I have it my way, I'm gonna make 12 because I'm gonna convince Tennessee to pay me $12 million to. Yeah.
Once Auburn comes knocking at the door.
That's the rumor on Greg Marshall's. Yeah, I'm explaining it to the listeners that
the rumor is he's going to go to Tennessee.
No, the rumor is that he when he goes into these meetings, he's asking schools for like the reason he has to left Wichita State is because he's asking for like $9 million a year, and everyone's like, dude, calm down. That's the rumor.
Well, that's a good rumor, but also my favorite rumor about all that stuff going into meetings, like what you're asking for, is Calipari's. Like when he went to NC State, he was like, "What are the academic requirements?" He was like, "Whoa, way too high for me. Get the hell out of here." Ooh.
I played basketball for an NAIA D2 school, so naturally we took vans to games, and our coaches often drove. After one game, we were shooting the shit about stuff that has happened with us and the girls over the course of the year. Oh, yeah. We then hear our coach from the front chime in and say, "You know what you need to do? You got to give him the reverse wheelbarrow." He then went on to explain that's just one of his go-to sex positions. The reverse wheelbarrow.
I don't think that's the term for it. Poor Kyle.
Poor Kyle back there.
Kyle's dying. He just Googled that. He just got a virus on his computer.
We're on a road trip. Games Friday and Sunday. After our win on Friday night, I go to the local laundromat with the assistant coach to wash the uniforms for our Sunday game. We're drinking beers at the laundromat as stuff washes and dries.
What?
We spread out the uniforms in the dryers. When we pull uniforms out of the dryers, when everything is done, we realize that one of the dryers was busted and there was no heat control, and the only heat level was scalding hot. So the printing on the jerseys all melted, and those jerseys are now stuck together in a big wad of melted screen printing. And we're 2 states away with the game in less than 48 hours, with not enough jerseys for our guys to wear. I had brought a few extra blood jerseys for the trip, but not enough to replace all of them that were stuck together in the ball of screen printing. The assistant coach and I then spent a few hours at the hotel trying to iron out the jerseys so they didn't look so terrible. Might have been the fact that we were tipsy while doing it, but we couldn't salvage them. So we end up buying some booze for one of our alumni of the program to get uniforms in our locker room 2 hours closer to where we were, and we had some parents of the players get them the rest of the way for our Sunday afternoon game. What level of sports is this? Is this a Bill Simmons, my daughter plays soccer story?
Yeah, what in the hell? I don't understand. Like, who's using screen printed jersey? Like,
they got screen printed jersey. They're going to the laundromat. They're having the parents pick
it sounds
up
like
the
the
jerseys.
Rotary Club, like going to play a big game or something.
That's a good story, though. I mean, like, it sucks.
yeah. I don't know how
that sucks.
Yeah.
That's tough.
These
tough
sounds
one.
like reversible jerseys too.
Yeah,
like why don't you just flip it the other side?
This guy says, I don't have any stories because I'm still 16, but I just wanted to let you
Nice.
But I just want to let you guys know I'm going to be a manager in college because it sounds like the greatest fucking thing ever. So shout out to that kid. It is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's so great
take out that F word when you send in your letter to be a manager.
You can't swear.
Yeah, you can't swear. But then you got it.
You're under 18, man. Calm down. It is the greatest thing ever. It's why I quit after doing it for 4 days.
Yeah, you're like the only person that's ever quit a manager job and then moved up.
Yeah. Quitters get ahead, dude. I'm proof of it. During our camps in the summer, we run a store with candy, drinks, and pizza. The campers are up in the dorm rooms, and we don't really supervise them that much. One kid had been given $100 by his parents for 3 days of camp and proceeded to spend around $60 on drinks and candy the first night. We later find out that the same kid was charging $2 for kids to come into his room, which had a portable speaker, disco lights, and a TV with an Xbox and PS4. The routine repeated itself the next 2 nights, and the kid turned his original $100 into a very nice profit. That might be my favorite manager story we've ever got.
That's pretty good.
It's so innocent, but it's so funny to me. That's Ben Simmons.
Yes. Perfect.
Selling his candy, bringing the Xbox to camp, knows the kids, charge and cover charge
yes.
to come play Xbox.
Yes.
Oh, it's awesome. Here's another innocent one that's not in the sex, drugs, rock and roll vein. I had a poetry class with a starter on our men's team. This player missed a 3 with seconds left to win in the Elite 8. He wrote his poetry for the following class about the pressure of being in that situation, and he even cried in class as he read it. It was raw and powerful to see how much these guys care about their school and their teammates. Just like to point out that these aren't superhumans or heroes, but just people like the rest of us and have flaws.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you want to read some good poetry, just Google C.J. Leslie poetry.
Is it C.J. Leslie, do you think? No, it's Elite Eight.
It's Elite Eight. It's Elite Eight. It's Elite Eight. He's like second round. I cried. And he would not have cared about any of that.
No.
Did I ever tell you the greatest state story ever about someone going to the NBA?
You did not.
I'm going to save it.
Save it.
I'm going to save it.
Do a tease.
It's a tease.
We'll tease it. Do it. We'll do it next week. During the spring when workouts were over, we would play pickup frequently and have some coaches with playing experience leading to some really competitive games. One day I stole a lazy inbounds pass and scored on our video coordinator and talked a little shit. On the way back down the court, the video coordinator yells, "I'm coming for you." He passes the ball up and then proceeds to set one of the most illegal screens ever and knocks me on my ass. As I'm on the ground, I yell at the video coordinator, "Little bitch," and as soon as the words leave my mouth, I think I'm about to be fired for swearing at a coach. I spend the rest of the day fretting about whether or not I'm going to have a job the next day, and I spend the rest of the day fretting about whether or not I'm going to have a job the next day, and I end up running into our head coach in the office the next day. He proceeds to slap me on the back and say, "Sup, little bitch," and gives me a good laugh about it. Apparently, the video coordinator wasn't that well liked and ended up leaving at the end of the spring. That's fun. Anytime
fun.
you can tell someone and you can call someone who has authority over you a bitch and get away with it. I said "F you" to Thad Matta one time at a practice. I swear, this is a true story. I said, I said it.
Did you say F you or did you say?
No, I said.
Yeah.
I said the naughty word that I'm not going to say, Tate, because my mom's listening.
I know. As is mine.
Yeah, because the situation was like we were doing a drill, and like only 4 guys were on my team were allowed to crash a glass or something, and he told me, he goes, "Mark, you stay back for this drill. It's not like you'd be able to crash the glass hard anyway." And then it just came out. I was just like, "Hey, coach," you know.
Yeah.
And I said it, and as soon as I said it, I was like, "Am I a freshman walk-on who just said F you to the head coach at Ohio
I was
State?"
hoping it was going to be you when you were a manager. You said that to him. And he was like, "I like your moxie, kid."
Yeah. Get
him on the team.
Long story short, he didn't care.
Yeah.
He thought it was funny. I went into his office after practice, and I was like, "Coach, I'm like begging." He's like, "You're apologizing for that? That was funny. Please do it again. It's fun." I don't know.
It made me think of the Coach K Kyrie thing at the Team USA camp, and he's like, "Fuck you."
That was when I knew I had carte blanche. That was when the monster. That was the origin story of this monster that sits across from me.
You're like,
today,
wow,
Tate. I was like,
I can do a lot more.
I can do whatever I want. In the early 90s at IU, I attended a banquet for new inductees into an academic honor society. In the middle of the ceremony, Bob Knight came into the room and said he wanted to address us. He started by congratulating us on our success in the classroom. Then he said that none of his players would compete with us academically, but that they all had heart and determination and knew how to overcome obstacles. He said he would bet that they would be more successful than we would in the long run. After his remarks, he grabbed the TV/VCR cart that was in the corner and he wheeled it out of the room. Yeah, good Bob Knight story.
Yeah.
He goes,
I feel like we're doing a lot for Bob Knight's,
He popped in. He's like, "Hey, my player's going to be more successful than you. Now let me take this TV and VCR." Good talk.
I got to go watch a movie.
All right,
We're going to go watch Last of the Mohicans together.
This was a few years ago at an elite private school that has emerged as a basketball powerhouse
Butler.
in the last 5 or so years.
Butler.
No, I said elite.
Nice.
I had class in the room next to one of our by the way, that's a anybody who goes to one of these, anybody that goes to a private school thinks their private school is elite. Do they not?
It's definitely Northwestern. If I had to guess.
Have the words like "I go to just an okay private school" ever been said ever? No. Every single time it's an elite private school.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you paid $60,000,
right, it better be elite.
It better be nice.
I had class in the room next to one of our star players and would often see him in the hall before and after class. About 1 month into the semester, I see an assistant coach waiting by the door. Thinking this will be good, I decide to wait around. When the player shows up, the coach goes, "What are you doing here?" Player responds, "Going to class, man. You should be happy with me." Coach goes, "This isn't your class. Your class is on the 3rd floor." We were in the basement of the building. For 5 weeks, this guy has been going to the wrong class, 3 floors from the one he was supposed to be in. I played D3 college basketball from 2009 to 2013. My senior year of college, we were ranked #1 in the country. Who cares? It's D3 basketball. He puts in parentheses. Nice. And we hosted a Sweet 16 game against one of the other top teams in the country. Our team manager begged our head coach to let him be off the clock during the game so he could be a regular student/fan and be in the stands with our students. You following so far, Tate? Mm-hmm. Our head coach didn't really care. Again, it's D3 basketball, and agreed that our manager didn't have to work the game. So after attending a big pregame, our manager showed up shirtless in the front row of the student section, clearly intoxicated. Early in the second half of a tight game, he got thrown out and escorted out of the arena.
Nice.
After getting in the face of an opposing player who was inbounding the ball right in front of him. He got a standing O as he left. We assumed he left the entire building. We won that game by 1 point and had a big celebration on the court afterwards. After 10 to 15 minutes on the court, we made our way back to the locker room to continue the celebration. When we got there, our manager was passed out in the middle of the floor, still shirtless. We started blasting music, and he eventually woke up and joined the party. He was so drunk it wasn't even funny. He was not asked to be a manager the following season.
Yeah, that was his last hurrah.
He was not asked back.
Good.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, that's a good way to go out, too.
D3, to the 16-year-old who said he wanted to be a manager,
Go
Go
be
to
that
the D3.
guy.
Be that guy.
Yeah.
That's what you aspire to be. Just do it for like 1 year and go out in a blaze of glory. This is a short and sweet story. A player got kneed in the nuts so bad during a summer scrimmage that he had to get a testicle amputated. That's it. That's the story.
Oh, great.
That's the story. In the mid-2000s, I transferred to a college basketball backwater on the West Coast. It's best described as a land of misfit toys. The school was charismatic, evangelical college that was heavy on faith. It was culture shock for myself and other transfers coming in from various D1, D2 programs across the country who just needed to graduate, get it paid for, and wanted to meet attractive women at the beach before our bodies looked like our dads. The team was horrible. It was so bad that we would internally bet a line that was often 20.5 or 25.5. We didn't have a baseline out-of-bounds play, a press break, or even a zone offense. We regularly didn't even know the names/numbers of the starting five on the other team. We were coached by a former professional player from New York City who would regularly tell us about getting drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, or was it the Cavaliers? It changed to suit his purpose, and apparently he wasn't aware Google existed either. He wasn't even drafted at all, even though he wasn't drafted at all, even though there were something like 10 rounds back then. After a road trip with 30-plus point losses, our brilliant leader decided he needed a new approach to get us back on the right track. The team comes into the gym for practice, and all the lights are off, but there are at least 50 lit candles scattered about the court. Our coach is standing at center court, shouting to the heavens something about our spirits. He implores us to sit down and join him in this seance. So we sit down and wait for his direction. He then proceeds to go on and on about our spirits not being right because we weren't being honest with God. And if our spirits weren't right, God wouldn't allow us to play well. So in order to right our ship, we need to come clean with our sins. The team starts shooting awkward looks at each other over candlelight, wondering who was going to pony up something first to get this over with. Eventually, first guy says he hasn't read his Bible in months. Second guy admits to smoking weed over the summer. This goes on for 30 minutes or so, and after each confession, our coach comes over to the players, smacks them on the head, and begins shouting in tongues for a minute or so. Let's just pause there. What? Continuing. At this point, I'm thinking we've pretty much covered enough ground, and I'm looking forward to wrapping this up. Then, out of the back corner of the group comes uncontrollable sobbing. Sensing a golden opportunity, our coach jets over to a freshman walk-on, who we will call Larry, and directs him to let it out. Larry chokes back snot and tears to proclaim to the group, "I'm so sorry, guys. I've let you all down. I have a terrible addiction to internet porn."
Nice.
It's not right, but I can't help it. Immediately, guys start hiding their faces, trying to fight back snickers and laughter. Sensing the room turning, our coach attempts to salvage his seance, but laughter overcomes the room. In a fit of frustration, our coach tells Larry he will pray for him, tells the team we can't be helped, and leaves the gym. Our team
We can't be helped. That's awesome.
Our team continued to lose badly, and our coach was eventually fired unceremoniously a few months later. The program wasn't the only thing losing over there. Now the school doesn't even exist either. For those worried about Larry, he's doing great. Quality sales job, wife, etc., and friends with most of the guys from that team.
And hopefully internet access.
We love Larry. There's no word on whether he's still addicted to internet porn or not.
He definitely is. Congratulations, Larry. You did it.
That is our dirty laundry, Tate. That's all we got for this week. Do you want to wrap up? You got any Duke Carolina thoughts before we go? They're playing on Saturday. Big game to watch.
Yeah, that's my shout out. I will say this. We talked about the Duke-North Carolina thing flipping, where Duke has become North Carolina of the past and North Carolina has become Duke of the past a little bit in the rivalry. And it was proven when Roy Williams came out and said that he doesn't care about beating Duke. He cares about titles. And that was always the thing that used to happen back when Cave, that was this thing he would say. It was like when he was losing to Dean Smith, he was like, I don't care about that. I care about winning championships. That's what he would say. And now Roy is full circle doing that to K to basically be like, I've won 3 titles since I've been here. You've won 2.
Right.
I have my balls on the table. I'm a national title contender every year. Who are you? So we've gotten to that point of the rivalry, which is great. 10 national titles in the past 36 years. It's the greatest rivalry in basketball. Tune in, guys. It'll be fun.
Cool.
Grayson Allen Senior Night.
Cool.
Ruin it.
I'm gonna call my shot again. It didn't work out last time. I'm gonna do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Luke May, high post, gonna kill in that 2-3 zone. They didn't really need him last time, but
Luke May is
maybe they
Tyler
need him this
Hansbrough light, and Tyler Hansbrough was
Ooh.
4-0 in Cameron indoor, and now it's Luke May's time.
that's it. I don't really have any other shout outs. You got anything else you got to say? Anything to close it up?
Pretty much just tune in for. We'll be back on Tuesday after the tournament. Oscars is this Sunday.
Oh, Oscars this Sunday.
Yeah, we just
give me your hot Oscars take.
3 Billboards is going to win everything.
Should it win everything or will it win everything?
It should and it will.
Ooh, I like that.
What do you think?
I like 3 Billboards too. That was my favorite. Yeah.
We should say that we work at theringer.com, so we will say at the top, get out and Lady Bird changed my life.
Lady Bird was very influential in my life.
Yes.
So I did like that very much as a Ringer employee. But 3 Billboards is my pick. Yeah, that was my favorite movie.
I like it. You haven't
we'll
seen
see.
Shape of Water. You haven't seen Phantom
I'm
Thread.
not seeing Shape of Water.
Yeah.
No, screw that. No.
One last
They won't let me
question.
back to the Midwest if I see Shape of Water. I was like, yeah, when I was out in Hollywood, I went to Shape of Water, and they'd be like,
Well, you just asked them a question. Do you like fish dicks? And then if you do, you like Shape of Water.
That's good, Tate.
Thanks, guys.
That's a good joke. We'll be back. One Shining Podcast. I'm here in LA all March.
Yes.
We're till the end of the season.
We're blowing it out.
We're doing content. Check us out at One Shining Pod, at Club Trillion, at Tate Frazier. Holler at us. Until next time, stay true.